orange strips, and sunlight streamed in through the cracked roof. The seaside resort might have had more lives than a cat, but she'd used up her last. "I've taken the offer on the property, Mama." The practicality of selling didn't soothe her guilt or anger. "Pained me good to sign the papers yesterday. But there was no way clear this time." A breeze blew cold from the ocean, and she closed her eyes as she searched for signs her mother was listening. Of course, she didn't hear anything. Like Ruth, Mama never was a woman of many words. No bear hugs or sloppy kisses, but steady as she goes and always there. And Mama could guard secrets as close as old Neptune himself. "I'm not crazy enough to think they'll save the hotel. Only a fool would try. Too expensive." She'd saved what she could from the damaged buildings and stowed it in her cottage, packing each room nearly to the ceiling. Tossing away what she'd paid good money for seemed sinful. What remains of the resort will be razed. But maybe that's for the best. Time for something new. The money from the sale of 5 acres of prime beachfront property would clear out Ruth's debts and leave her with enough to get her to the grave. There'd be no extra money for her granddaughter, Ivy, but Ruth's cottage, built a century ago with timbers from a demolished church, would bring a tidy sum. "Blessed by God," her daddy used to say about the cottage. Considering it was 200 yards from the seaside resort and hadn't lost a shingle, she reckoned that was true. Whatever the reason for the cottage's endurance, Ruth saw it as a blessing. Ivy had a chance for a fresh start, whether she chose to live here or sell. No better gift Ruth could give. Ruth turned her back on the ruins and faced the ocean. The brisk salt air burned her lungs and fisted around her heart as she moved across the sand. Wind brushed her face. When she raised her gaze, she saw her parents standing on the beach holding hands with her daughter. She was tired and ready to join them. She'd be leaving Ivy alone, but that girl was the strongest of the lot. If anyone could heal the sins of the past, it was Ivy. Chapter 1. Ivy. Monday, January 17th, 2022, 10:15 p.m. 424. It was the number of miles between New York City and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. 7.5 hours. That was the projected drive time. But it didn't account for the accident on the New Jersey Turnpike, the gridlock around the D.C. Beltway, or the new road construction miles before Norfolk. The calculation also didn't factor in a McDonald's stop in Delaware, hamburger and large Diet Coke, or the potty break in Fredericksburg, Virginia. 11 days. The time it had been since Ivy Neale had left home to attend her grandmother's funeral. It was the post-New Year's lull at the restaurant, so no one had minded when she'd taken off 2 days. There was a hurried flight to Charlotte and then back up to Norfolk, followed by a 100-mile drive in a rental to the Outer Banks, and then the 30-minute funeral service. She'd seen friends and family, but the hugs had been quick and the conversations superficial. No time for the ex-boyfriend, the ex-friend who'd slept with him 2 months after she'd left for New York 12 years ago, their truly precious child, the hundreds of people who had loved Ruth, or a tour of Ruth's house. She'd flown back to New York, the sea air still clinging to her sweatshirt, and inquired about an extended leave from her job. 5 seconds. How long it had taken her boss to reject her request for leave. 1 second for this last straw to break the camel's back and for her to quit. 3 days to cut a deal with her landlord, sell her furniture, and pack up what remained. She had agreed to pay him the remaining 2 months on her lease once she sold the cottage or was making money again. He'd accepted, knowing money later was better than none at all. It wasn't that she didn't love her job or the city. God knew they'd endured a lot together. But it was time to return home and clean out Ruth's house. She owed this to Ruth. $1,500. That was how much the 2005 van had cost her from the used car dealer. It was green and had worn tan seats and a radio that worked.